All right, Black Box Radio. We are in the box, and I got company, and I'm happy. It's the bbR Spotlight, and I just want you guys to know it's gonna get hot tonight. So before I get to my guests, I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm Queen. I'm from Black Box Radio. This is a media platform for Black excellence. We platform Black people, we expose Black genius, and we disseminate information to the Black community. But bigger than that, we actually show other communities the humanity of African Americans who have no clue what it is to be African American in America. So it comes from Black people, and you can actually see us, see what we do, see how we move, and see that we're just regular people, but we're great people. So tonight in the bbR Spotlight, you guys, I got the Pattersons.
Uh-oh.
So I got the Pattersons, the talk of the town. I have Jovani and Shawnda. Welcome to the box, guys.
What up?
Thank you for having us.
We're so happy that I am just excited. I'm smiling all the time anyway. So today you're gonna see my back teeth because I'm real excited. I'm real excited. I'm excited to delve into what you guys are doing. First, I want you to kind of tell us about Baltimore. How'd you get here? Did you grow up here? Your life together because you're married, and then we're gonna talk about the task at hand. Okay?
All right, go ahead first.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
I love it. You say y'all are married folks.
Go ahead. Go ahead on.
Married people do.
No.
You got to give the people something because you're much interesting.
No. So I am a Baltimore native.
Okay.
Born and raised, never lived anywhere else. Love Baltimore. I actually was a teacher. I taught in Baltimore City Schools for about 10 years.
Wow.
Both of my degrees are in education. I'm also licensed in the finance field. So right now I am a licensed finance and investment coach, and I've been licensed for about 10 years. We have been married, I guess, 4 years coming. We have two wonderful kids, and that's what we've been up to.
Beautiful, beautiful. At least somebody's jumped in. I love that. Okay. So how about you, Jovani? Are you a native of Baltimore?
So yeah, I was born downtown, but when I was 3, my parents moved away. I think my grandmother stole me, is the way my parents tell the story. So they moved after I was stolen. Um,
I love it. You was stolen.
so, but my mom was born and raised here. She graduated from Carver. Um, my cousins on my mom's family was here. So I got family all across the town.
Okay.
Um, and so I graduated from high school in South Carolina. I went to one semester at Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina, and then moved back to Maryland. And that's in 2005. That I've been back ever since. So
Okay.
I came back at 19 to go to work, right? But I was in school. I majored in network security, information assurance, all that stuff. Yeah, but just been here. And since 2005, I actually used to play drums in church. So I, really got back familiar with Baltimore City just by playing drums, playing in church because I would play all over the place. We'd be riding around town now. It's like, oh, I played there. I don't know. And it'd be like little hole in the wall churches too. Like,
They're everywhere.
played there, like, and I also played at Morgan State for a little while. I never went to Morgan, but I did play there for a little bit. But now, professionally, I'm a cybersecurity engineer. Some people know me because I ran for office back in 2020. But yeah, I'm just a regular dude.
A regular dude. Yeah, so you're familiar with South Carolina.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, my parents live down there now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. That's my second spot.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up. I born in New York, but I grew up in South Carolina, and I came here to go to Morgan, and then I grew up in Baltimore. So I've been here ever since. So I love Baltimore. It's a great city. When I came from South Carolina, fun fact, I had to take remedial courses to stay at Morgan. It's so amazing. But when I got to South Carolina from New York, I was advanced. So it's so amazing how that
Yeah.
dichotomy that happened. And then when I came to Morgan, they made me take remedial. I mean, I got up to par pretty fast, but it was just amazing how different places have different different education.
Yeah.
And so the precipice of this conversation is about education. And Baltimore, I never went to public school here, but I see the manifestations of the public school here. Let's talk about that. And so if something great is going in, most of the times you're going to get something great coming out. And we see a lot of chaos in Baltimore City. And I think education is a liberator. And I don't think Baltimore City public school system is doing its job from my standpoint. I don't have any kids in the system, so I'm not sure. But from what I see, there's some issues here. So let's kind of
Actually, like what made
into what you guys are doing.
So what made you make that connection? Like there's an issue. Like what was it that made you see that?
I don't want to talk about my Baltimoreans, bro. What is you trying to? Is this my interview? Or are you trying to put me out of Black Box Radio? What is wrong with him? This is what I'm talking about, bruh. Because you know what, and not to say people are unintelligent. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I hear things in Baltimore, and I've been to a lot of cities that I haven't heard in ages. Like people on the east side never coming to the west side, and just some of the mentalities that when your mind is liberated. When something's poor, you usually think past those barriers. You understand? Thinking is something that exposes you to so much because now it's an activity actually, and so it keeps you motivated. So the things I'm hearing aren't coming from thinkers.
Yeah, my aunt was like that actually.
Huh?
My aunt was like that because before she passed away, she had like a routine, right? She would go home and then hang out at Lexington Market just all day in front of the chicken spot. And if you put her in the car to go anywhere, she'd be ready to jump out because if she even saw that you were getting close to the county line, like, she couldn't take it. Like, don't take me out of the city, right? Don't take me out. So I understand and I've seen it. She eventually did get over it. She moved out with my other aunt in Kentucky. And that's where she did, pass away. But I've seen. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean the east-west thing is amazing. That's a street.
Yeah.
I mean, like North Avenue, Charles Street, East, West. Say South North. That is literally a street. And I mean, I see things here that I just think education would change a lot of the behaviors that is being displayed in community, and that's what I can see. And then I hear the murmurs from parents. I saw how they responded to the COVID-19. It was a mess, and I don't even think they've still actually recovered from COVID-19 and been proactive about putting technology in schools. None of that's happening. And so, I just think that when you don't see things like that happen, technical schools and schools that are 21st century that are not private, then there's a problem with the system, I think.
Yeah.
So tell me what you guys are doing and how'd you get to this point?
So we have filed a formal complaint against the Baltimore City Public Schools. A lot of it's, when I ran for office, one of the things that, I did want to see was better transparency and accountability with the schools. Because we've seen the stories that have come out recently, but even before that, it was conversations that I would have with my wife on how things were going in the schools. I mean, she can tell the stories better than I can, but when she would come home while she was a teacher, talking about how the kids were acting, kids coming with weapons and things like that to schools, how, she's literally teaching, kids in the same class on different grade levels, right? So everybody's in the 5th grade, but one of them one group of kids may be at a 3rd grade level, another group of kids may be at a 4th grade level. And we're still and they're still using older books to teach from. She tells stories better than I, but um, it really did stem from continuing to at least try to do the work, or how I can still affect the same change that I would have while I was in office, outside of office, as just regular Joe Schmo, right?
Mhm.
So when I started really looking into how the system is crafted and how it's set up, and this is what I think people really have to, start looking into, is that it really does kick the public out as it stands today. Because of the organizational structure, as far as the school board and how the CEO is selected, and the actual input the citizenry have, when you really look at it, the people have no input into the way this is set up. Our school board is fully appointed by the mayor,
Yes.
and then they essentially appoint the school CEO. But me as a citizen, as a taxpaying resident, if my child's in school and I want to say, hey, what's really going on with this curriculum, or what's going on with these schools, or why aren't these buildings really being maintained to the level, to a satisfactory level? There's really no measure that the people can use to hold the school board administration really accountable.
Hmm. Wow. So the only way to hold the school board accountable is to get ratchet?
Well, if you
That's what
consider
you're saying? I mean, you gotta go in there and protest. I mean, listen, if they don't have they don't have a policy way, they don't have a way that a person can actually, you got to protest. You got to shake it up.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the only way.
yep.
Man,
Pretty much.
pretty much. Wow. So that kind of that's why it's so quiet. Quiet is kept. They have a lot of control even over the teachers, because if you have no way of, if a citizen can't say nothing, I know the teachers better shut their mouth.
You better tell it.
And
Ooh,
talk about
let's talk about it, Shawnda.
the
Let's talk about it. You as a teacher, there's
Thanks.
no way you can have, if the citizens don't have a voice, the teachers are definitely on lock.
Yes, so voiceless and afraid, that
Mm,
if they voice their opinions, they will be blackballed,
they'll
or
be blackballed. Exactly.
maybe will receive an unfair evaluation, or it's so many things that happen as a teacher, that teachers talk about, behind the scenes, and amongst themselves, that we wish we could change. I mean, because quite honestly, almost all the teachers that I know work hard and they want the best for the kids. That's why they became teachers. I tell people all the time that I didn't go to school to get 2 degrees and end up in all this debt because I want to do bad things for kids. Like most of the teachers who actually went through school to do those things want to see great things happen with children. Unfortunately, it's just that their hands are tied. There's not but so much they can do with the materials they're given, with the curricula that's provided, um, and with the level of support they receive.
Mm, that's a problem. That's a serious problem, because teachers that are in jail, how do they I mean, that's really what it is. As a teacher can express, how do they how do they, are they being hypocrites when they ask the children to express themselves, when they want the children to talk and be and have a relationship with them? But if they can't have a relationship outside of whatever the school system, then what we got? We got some problems.
And that's crazy, because
That's
that's actually one of
crazy.
the reasons why I stopped teaching.
Wow.
So,
tell them that you got banned.
yeah.
Oh, they put you out, sis. Tell it, tell it, tell it.
From Baltimore City.
They say I'm not, but I've tried to, I have, because I taught for quite some time, I have, principal friends and people that I know who ultimately, I'm a great teacher, I don't want to pat myself in the back, but they all want me to come back. Like, I get calls. They want me to work at their schools. And I tried to go to a school after I left, and they came back and told me that they said that I couldn't be rehired.
Wow.
And it's due to nothing. I don't have, like, I've gotten highly effective evaluations all of my tenure teaching. So, it's really weird that you would not want a highly effective teacher to teach.
Not only that,
You
right?
say it's weird. It's intentional.
Like,
So
she was a
it's
highly effective teacher, and I see
mhm.
it with our son. Like my son is brilliant. He's 3 years old.
Wow.
So he's doing calculus right now. Um,
Wow.
and she was also a union rep, so she was an advocate for the teachers as well. Like,
There we go. Now you pulling it out.
I mean,
Advocate.
you
Got to
couldn't
go.
ask for a more exemplary teacher, and that's how they treated her.
It's really unfortunate. And Baltimore is such a top-heavy city. Like the mayor has all of the power. The Lisa, whatever her name is,
Yeah.
she's making all the money. She has all of the power. It's too power centered on one person having a lot of. So everyone has to go to this one person. You get what I'm saying? They have all of. They can fire everybody. They have. It's like they can do anything they want to do. Like the CEO of schools she can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct? And everybody answered to her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the way we should run schools, and especially when her children are in public school. I know she don't have any children in public school. I know it.
Well, I do think people need more of a voice in this,
Mhm.
right? Like, again, the people are just on the outside, the citizens, the taxpayers, the community members, the residents. Everyone is really just sitting on the outside of this system, hoping and praying that we get the right one and that they work for us. But because the system is set up the way it is,
It's not.
you're essentially playing a lotto every time, every year. And
It's
unfortunately,
working the way it's supposed to work.
right.
It's set up this way to work this way. We have the expectations for things to work for people, but it's not. Systems aren't for people. It's for systems.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the issue is. So what can a citizen do? If you're having problems with your teacher or you're having problems with your child's education, you got to. What do you do? What is the IPO or whatever you call that? Is that I forgot when your kid isn't it IP? Yeah, IUP.
Yep.
So is that the only way you address your child's issues? Is you put them under scrutiny from therapists and all of this? How do you address the system?
I think that's the big question mark, right? Is the big challenge, and like I said, we have a formal complaint that has been filed. That's one step that you can take. But what I would actually advise everyone to do at this point, right, is start being honest on everything. So when the schools send out the surveys, how are we doing? Start filling them out legitimately, right? Because I understand, and my wife and I was talking about this one day. No one, oftentimes we don't want to admit that we were at fault for doing something, right? So if I'm sending my kid to this failing school, and I know it's failing, but it's the best I got for right now. And when they send the surveys, I'm going to say, hey, well, yeah, the teacher's good, or all my needs are met because it's all I have right now, right? But we have to start being honest. If the needs aren't being met for your students or for your kids, then be honest. Let's start putting the stuff out on blast and start sharing it amongst one another and say, hey, something's got to change.
Well, are you sure they're getting surveys? Are you sure parents are getting surveys about schools? Is that really happening?
Baltimore City has been pretty good at sending out surveys, questionnaires.
They do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a part of the it is a part of the evaluation system.
Well, how do they give it back? Do they have to send it via mail?
Well, not anymore. I think it's email based now.
It's email
It used
based.
to be,
And
that was sent home, and
30% of households don't have computers
and come back. But it's not like that anymore. But I think one of the biggest challenges with even being honest is, us Baltimoreans, we have a reputation for being retaliatory. We don't really like things, when you say something bad or you do something, we're gonna get you back, right? So unfortunately, that's kind of the way that I think a lot of people feel when they fill out the survey. They don't want anything retaliatory to happen to
To the
their
child.
right?
Right.
And I mean, and when you think about it, even though the surveys are supposed to be anonymous, I remember once as a teacher,
They're not.
I worked at a particular school for a few months, and in that time frame, there were, I mean, it was horrible. I mean, I can't even begin. I had students who had ankle bracelets. I had to visit with POs. I taught fourth grade. Well, I was the literacy coach, so
You
I
said
was,
fourth grade.
yeah,
You had ankle bracelets.
yeah, and parole officers, and you know, they would prop open, the community members would come in, they wouldn't get passes, and so it's just all these people walking around the school. You don't know who they are.
What school?
Very
What school, sis?
I don't think I can. I don't want to say that,
Say what
you
you want.
know. But it was just
You
about
gotta, see, you gotta put these people on blast. What
it
school?
was just unsafe, you know. And I made what you would call a heat complaint, where you're supposed to be able to call this ethics hotline anonymously to say that, you know, and it's, I'm new to this school, and I'm in a position of, I'm kind of right underneath the administrators, you know, and one day I had to help suspend like 8 kids, write up all these suspensions, and it was just, you know, there was lack of teachers, there was like no subs,
What
you
school,
know.
Shawnda?
It was, well, at the time, this was years ago, but it was Pimlico.
Whoa.
And
Wow.
and I made a complaint, and the complaint was just saying that I felt, and then the community members, like parents, you know how kids can say, "Oh, my teacher yelled at me," or you know, whatever the case may be. There were parents that had came in after school to fight a teacher, and they had like walked to her room, and it was like a gang of them. And I mean, the school had school police stationed at the school. So that'll tell you, you know, kind of the dynamics of what was going on at the school at the time. But I made a complaint, and you know, they're supposed to make it anonymous, and but the person that wrote the complaint wrote it in such a way that you could identify who I was, right?
Wow.
So the next day when I get to school, my principal's like waiting for me, and she's like, you know, pissed that I made this complaint. And yeah, and since that day she just was very negative and rude, and you know, and it was just like not a you know, a safe work environment.
So not only is this, but see, this is what systems do. And we see it as it manifests in community when it comes to racism. All of these systems, these are, they make you now, you become a police for the system. You uphold the system because it's feeding you in some way. This is the problem with how systems circumvent like good behavior, or people who want to extend humanities to someone else, is because in their space they're getting something from it. So you have a principal and she knows the school crazy, but it's going to look bad on her. You know, and so you rather keep the chaos, hurt our children and protect the system, and then lash out at the one who's trying to change things. This is how insidious these systems
Well,
become.
systems will work if the accountability factor is there, right? Because
Right.
the accountability factor is not there at all, you know, it's allowed to run amok. So then you get into
Absolutely.
this, what I'm gonna call it a perverted system, because now it is allowed to destroy future generations. It's allowed to not set up our future for true success, but instead to protect the individual that's running the system.
Because system has to have keepers. You
Yep.
know, we always want to say the system is so bad, but the system has to be applied. It has to have an application point. And
Yeah.
yes, the system is set up to hurt, maim, kick, whatever, not educate, but it has to be applied. And these principals and some of these teachers, they're part of the system running amok because it's protecting them. They have a job, they're off in the summer. So I hate, you know, that's what I love about teachers. You guys get all them. Yeah, I'm mad about them days. Let me mention them all. President's Day pissed me off. You know, y'all get all the days. But you know, and you guys are worthy, but definitely, you know, they're protecting their space, but the kids are being hurt. And we see it though.
Yeah.
Look at our children. When do people get enough of what we see out in the street right now? When
Well,
do we don't get enough of that?
I mean, let's look at it too from a well. First off, I should have led with this part though, because I do see Baltimore with like some tremendous potential, right? And I just say, imagine what our city would look like if year after year we're producing the best, the doctors, best lawyers. Our kids are going to the top schools or becoming entrepreneurs, tradesmen. Like, what would our city really look like,
Yep.
right? And that starts with you know, a foundation of education. But we have to start somewhere to begin to expect that. And if we don't do it, then we'll get what we got. Now the other thing is Baltimore is on the come up for in a lot of different areas, and one of them is
It's
tech.
being gentrified, so
It
we
is
know
being
it's
tech.
coming up.
So let's talk about that for a second, because these new industries and new jobs and this new innovation, right? These opportunities aren't going to our kids,
Yes.
right? So people are essentially going to want to live closer to where they work or close to where these opportunities are. And as long as we keep educating the ones that are here, the easier it is to move them
To
away.
remove them. Yes. And what's the industry you're talking about? Innovation. Let's talk about digital
There's a lot
hardware,
of tech.
technology.
There's a lot of tech. Yeah, a lot of tech companies
A lot of
considering
tech companies
Baltimore.
come here. Excellent.
Um,
Exactly.
I know several, a couple cybersecurity companies that are actually based right here in Baltimore.
Yeah.
There's finance is an industry that's in Baltimore. You got T. Rowe Price, Legg Mason,
Yep.
several others. But these industries, finance is a huge industry, and you don't even really need a degree for it. But these industries aren't recruiting from Baltimore City. You have major hubs right here, and Baltimore is in prime city to be the nation's leader in everything. I mean, we have a major port right here, so we can import, export anywhere. We're right here next to DC. We're next to Philly, and you can get up to New York, and you can get to the mountains to the west. Like, Baltimore is in prime location. It is literally prime real estate for any opportunities that you can think of.
Even logistics too. Don't forget transportation.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. The port, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm talking about these young men that are even adjudicated. You can drive truck in Baltimore and still make a heck of a lot of money, and you can still have a job that's viable. So it's so much here.
yeah.
And you're right. Our children are being looked past because they don't have the basic education, just the basic. So you guys filed this complaint because you see this, Shawnda. You worked in the schools. What do you see? What would you like to see from this complaint?
Oh, sorry.
Shawnda, you with us?
I am. I'm just so used to him talking. Yeah.
You can stand up and listen. I love it.
I'm the quiet one.
Yeah.
I'm the quiet one of us.
I mean, well, first
I know
and
that
foremost,
answer.
I think the biggest thing that we want to see is that people have an input. I was in I joined one of the meetings that the school board has that parents can get on. It's like a virtual meeting. But they wouldn't let you ask the questions that you wanted to ask, right? It was kind of like, we only going to answer the questions we want to answer kind of thing, or we're not talking about that right now. And it's like, so when do we talk about it? So unfortunately, I don't think that anybody has a voice, not even the kids.
Oh man.
The kids don't even have a voice, and a lot of them are afraid to voice their opinions about how they feel about their schools or their teachers or their principals, for maybe even some of the same reasons that the teachers are afraid. And then the principals are only following the orders of the system too. So some of them, so I'm sure some of them are going along with it, but some of them, I know some principals that have concerns about the way that the schools are run. So, you have this like domino effect that's affecting everyone, but yet and still it isn't changing. And it's been that way you talk to my aunt right now is one of my aunts is 67. And, upon filing the lawsuit, one of the things that she shared with me is that she struggles with reading. And she said, I would never tell anybody this, but, Baltimore has been failing the kids for a long time. You know, I still struggle with reading to this day, you know, and you'd be surprised at the amount of stories that we get now from, people messaging us on Facebook, finding us and sending us messages. People, walking up to us and telling us different things, because now people are starting to, not be ashamed and to say, listen, this is a problem. This has been going on for an extremely long time, and something has to change. And the thing about change, a lot of times, is that it's uncomfortable, right?
That's what makes it change.
It is uncomfortable.
Yep.
You don't really know, what the outcome is going to be,
Yep.
and so it is something that you have to really just understand that it's a part of the way that it has to be for things to change.
Yep.
And so one of our biggest hopes is that the parents, the teachers, the students, the community members will be able to really be able to express themselves and
Mhm.
have input as to how the school system is run.
Sure.
And that the money be spent the proper places, that everyone is held accountable for what is supposed to happen.
Mhm.
And at the end, our students are educated. I mean, at
That's
at, at
it.
the root of it all, that is what it's about. It's
That's
about
what it's about.
our students, our kids, our friends. They need to be educated, and
Yep.
they need to be educated in such a way that they can compete, right?
Yes.
Because everything is about we're competing. There's so many immigrants that come to the US from other countries and take the highest paying jobs.
Mhm.
And why is that? It's because we aren't doing a great job
Yeah, we haven't equipped our children. That's the truth.
of educating our kids,
Absolutely.
right? We're not doing that. I went to Goucher for undergrad, for a part of my undergrad. And I went
Gotcha.
to Western. I'm a Dove, Western Dove all the way,
Oh, pinky up over here.
right?
Voucher
River
and
School.
Weston and I hear
Yeah.
you.
So, but the
Mhm.
thing is, even graduating, and I was in a gifted and talented program for middle school. I
Mhm.
went to Western, one of the best schools in the in the city. And then when I got to Goucher, they told me I had to take remedial English.
Ain't that something?
And I was like, what do you mean? I've always received nothing but A's and E's and, in school. And I graduated at the top of my class. What are you talking
Mhm.
about? I had to take remedial English. So I had to take 2 not for credit English classes because they said I did not know how to write before I could take 4 credit classes.
I s-
So
I said it to you. Happened to me too, sis. I get it. It's unfortunate. Mm.
So when you go through those kinds of things, it lets you know furthermore that and to think about that, like if you really think about it, if that's happening to the best and the brightest students, what's happening to the students that struggle?
That's
What's
true.
happening to the students that have challenges?
Yep.
What's happening to the students that didn't go to the best schools? What's happening to them? So if the best and brightest are struggling to compete, what about the rest of the people?
It's really unfortunate. And when you think about when you talk about your own walk and what you went through, and then to go when you go to college, they say go to remedial classes. You're like, what? I've never been in anything remedial,
Right?
but
What are you talking about?
you sure about that, Shorty? But that's that's happening. And so when you say that's happened to you, imagine some of these young people now, where they are, and some of these schools they're coming out of. I read something about Patterson. I was appalled.
Mhm.
Woo! What is going on in Patterson High School? 70% are illiterate. I said,
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you a little analogy. Frederick Douglass is my guy, right?
what?
And his master Hugh Auld at the time said, well, he was forbidding his mistress from teaching Frederick Douglass to read, right?
Okay.
Because he said, if you if you teach that boy to read, it will forever unfit him to be a slave. Right. So if you teach a man to read, if you teach Frederick Douglass to read, it forever unfits him to be a slave. Now, if you're failing our generations of kids and not teaching them how to read, what are you doing? What are we doing here?
Listen, you answered your own question, bro. They have to keep a slave class or working. You know the answer to the question. And we got to say it. I mean, these are intentional movements. This is not like something out of the blue and the system is just, oh, we're sorry. It's just a few. This is an intentional system that intentionally does not educate. It's intentional. Listen, They used to fight and kill and spit on you if you went to school.
Yeah.
Now you can go to school freely. As soon as they open the doors, we was in trouble. That day they opened the doors, they put money on each child's head, and then the whole system changed.
So we have to return to a cultural value in education as well, right?
How do we do that?
That's a big thing, I think, that does kind of get overlooked, because our children not being able to read should be simply unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. But how do we change a system that you have no input?
Well, I'm not trying to talk bad about anyone or anything like that.
I want you to talk all bad, please.
Right? But like, we have to look in the mirror at a point in time too, right? Because it's saying, hey, if, like, let's look at what's his name, Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson. His mom did not have a great education, right? But Ben Carson went on to become a brain surgeon because his mom's drive of enforcing education was rampant, right? Like, she required him to learn. A lot of our, when you look at when the blacks were freed from slavery, there was like this utmost desire for education. If you look at what Maddie Jackson talks about, and Frederick Douglass and some of these others, when leaving slavery, the burning desire was to be able to read, be able to communicate, to be able to do math. When you have a cultural desire for those, like, the sky's the limit for you. But when we said, hey, we're going to pass the responsibility off to them with no accountability, we essentially said, it's not my responsibility to teach my kids or be involved with the education of my children. I'm going to leave it to them, and I hope they do the right things. That's also what leads it to make it easy for them to kick the people out.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. The friend of capitalism, and what capitalism does, it tells you that you're the problem. That's the trick of capitalism. That's what it does. That it is you. The victim is always the issue, and it's never the system. The system is just there, and you're not using it effectively, or you didn't put enough boots on this morning. You didn't put your boots up fast enough, or you don't have imagination for your children, or you gave your power away. Yes, I hear what you're saying, but we continue to want to blame the folk who are actually being abused and traumatized over and over, and expect more and more from them. And the system continues to corral. It continues to miseducate. It continues to misuse its power. But we can deal with that. We got to find a way to deal with that. But the people then who are severely traumatized, who don't have access, who live in shitty ass neighborhoods. This is real talk. And we continue to say what they can do and what we've given away. And you're right. We have onus in our children's education and our own education. We should be active, but we continue to want to put it on the people who are paying for this. It's not free. Education ain't free, bruh.
Who's paying for it?
We are paying for them. So yes, we didn't just say, oh, we want to integrate. They did that because they understood that there was more money in integration. It had nothing to do with education. Schools was never set up to educate children. Schools was a place where children so people could work. It was
Mhm.
never set up for education. So now we're expecting all of this stuff, and that's not what the system was built for. And then since it's not working, then the people got to get themselves together. No, it's the damn system, and we have to find a way to circumvent it. That's my take on it. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong, Jovani, but I think we can't go after the people. I'm sick of that. We got to leave the people alone.
No, I'm not, and I don't want to
Yeah.
go after the people.
I mean, because I know I don't think you're going after, but
But,
that is our first thing is that we
but,
gave up our power.
but
And I
what I
don't
am
think
saying
that.
is that there does have to be a team effort, right?
That's true.
There's not going to be a savior, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be anyone that's going to come in and say it's all fixed,
True.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to. Everybody has a part or has a role to play. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I want to be careful. I'm not victim blaming. I'm not. Bashing anyone. Well, I do want to be clear and say, hey, we all have a role to play.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing people can do right now is speak up. Stop taking it. Stop taking what's going on.
Yes.
And that's what's happening. I'm sorry, babe.
I agree with that. Go ahead, Ms. Shawnda.
I was just gonna say that, and coming from being a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
I will say that, unfortunately, now I've encountered some great parents. Don't get me wrong, parents that are, active, they are there, they answer the phone, they want you to call them if anything is going on, but in a class of, let's say, 40 students,
40.
Most of my classes were between 35 and 40 kids, my entire 10-year
One
tenure,
teacher.
right? One teacher. Out of the 40 kids, I would say that was about 8 parents. Many of the parents, you don't know, I got cussed out for calling parents. They told me that, the kids are my responsibility while they at school. Don't call them with that.
Why are you making me laugh?
No, I'm serious. I got cussed out. I have parents, kids who are failing, like in behaving horribly. They come to school the next day with a new iPhone and a new Jordans. Okay. Kids who don't do their homework, you ask them what were they doing, or they was playing video games all night, or the parents writing an excuse note saying that they had to go do something with them. So I'm just saying that I do understand that we cannot victim blame, and that a part of it is the system, but some of it is our culture.
Absolutely.
We have many of us over time have made money our God, and we've forgotten about our families. We've forgotten that our kids are supposed to come first. We've forgotten that our spouses are supposed to come first. We've forgotten our grandkids and our aunts and our cousins, and all we do is chase money. We get 2, 3, 4 jobs.
Let me sit back.
Right? We get 2, 3, 4 jobs, and the TV and the video game and the tablets is raising the kids. And when we get home from our 2, 3, 4 jobs, we're so tired that we're feeding them poorly, which is leading to poor health and obesity and everything else. And then they're not doing their homework. They're not getting any instilled education at home. And the video games are raising them. And then when the grades come in, we're like, what the heck? And what did you do? No, what did you do? So I honestly,
Say amen.
I honestly believe that, because many people, not everybody, but some people in our culture have forgotten what is really important. And what is really important, first and foremost, is your kids, your family. Other than providing for them, we've lost touch with this hands-on approach to taking care of our families and kids, and resorted to buying them stuff. So now the way that we show love is through buying, instead of spending time and doing projects and doing activities. We buy. And in that, we've lost a lot of what our parents used to have with us. I am a product of a drug home. My mom was on drugs.
Wow.
And growing up, and it's crazy because growing up, even though my mom was on drugs, and a lot of times I had to let myself in to the house at 6, 7, 8 years old, right? My mom always told me, you better put your homework on this table, right? And the God honest truth is, my mom might not come home. I might not see my mom. Like after I come home from school, I was responsible enough to come in, find something to eat in the kitchen if it was something in there, make sure I get ready for the next day, do my homework, leave it on the table. But when I got up the next morning, even if my mom wasn't there, she had come in to check my homework. It was red marks all over my notebook, fix this, stuff erased, right? So my mom valued education so much. And even on Saturdays, she would walk us to the library, make us pick up 4 and 5 books. And I couldn't come out my room on Saturdays until I read for an hour, right? And this was in the middle of the crack pandemic in the 80s. Right, where our communities were being ravished by crack cocaine, right?
Right.
So
Yes.
when you think about something like that, education was still very important.
Oh.
I don't feel like nowadays education is very important.
True.
People don't check behind their kids. They don't ask them, what did you learn in school today? What is it that you're doing? Let me look at this. Let's go get this book. Let's do this. I had to stop tutoring kids because I would tutor kids. And then I, talk to the parents on the weekend, and now I'm like, well, wait a minute, but what they doing? They not reading? Oh no, they playing video games. Why are they playing video games? They don't know how to read. They playing video games when they should be reading. So it unfortunately right now many of us have lost our way. And I know that we don't want to blame the system. I mean, that some of it is the system.
Yeah.
But to be honest, some of it is us. And we have to look at it.
Touche. You put me in my place. Amen. Preach. You're correct. I agree with that also. I agree with that too, that we have lost our way. But, that's a part of the same society, in the same system of throwing all of these toys in front of us, making it harder to make ends meet. All of these are systems that are in play to keep the real thing that needs to happen, the education, the family, the real things that make a society actually grow. They continue to put things in place where we can't get to it. And you're right. We are buying our children.
So let's do this, right?
It's a new wave.
Let's make those things that are required sexy again, right? Family is not a cool word anymore, but family is what builds legacy. That's what builds wealth. Yeah. I was talking to some friends the other night. Like, family is literally how you can live forever, right? Because your name lasts forever. If you're building a family, you're building your legacy. That's what lasts forever. So let's start making those type of things cool again, right? Not just we see on TV or shiny or Mercedes or whatever people are after these days. Let's make the real things, like the substantive things, sexy again. Education, like, it's so cool to learn. Like, when I was growing up, I was a nerd, right? Like, I was one of those. Yeah, I'm still a nerd, but but like, nerds are the highest paid people now. Like, I'm on my way, but nerds are the highest paid people.
You selling your cards? You put your cards out there, Mr. Nerd. I hear you. Figures.
But let's make those things cool again. Family.
Well, I don't know if being a nerd has ever been cool. It's lucrative, bruh, at some point, but I don't know if it's ever been cool. But I understand what you're saying.
Nerd, and you see that bank account.
That's what I said. That's cool now. But when you're right. I said at some point they get real cool, and at some point they chilled out. But
let's sell that to the kids, right? Let's sell that to the kids.
We got to sell it to them.
Exactly. You're 25. You a nerd. You done programmed.
The tube, though. The tube is the rappers. We say sell things too, but what they see, what they're being acculturated towards, what they hear, has nothing to do with educating yourself, becoming a professional, being a family man, being a nice young woman. It's all different. And we can say what we want for our kids, but what they see is a whole different movement. So, how do we gauge these things? We want them to be educated. I definitely do. I want to see more in Baltimore, definitely, especially from Baltimore City Public School System. But how can we get that when we're fighting society?
Well, I mean, I think that, quite honestly, one of the things, and I just went over it a little bit, is that we're the gatekeepers for our kids.
Hmm.
Growing up, our parents they censored us. You couldn't be around adult conversation.
That's
There
it.
was certain music you didn't listen to.
Yep.
We get in the car, you ain't listening to no secular music in this car. You ain't worried about that, like, right? You ain't listening to that. Oh no, you ain't wearing that.
Yep.
You're
Get out
not
of grown folks conversation, all
right,
of it.
right. You're not hanging out with her because
Yep.
I heard some things about her. You
Exactly.
know, but nowadays it's not like that anymore. You go to kids. I mean, I go to kids' birthday parties. They listening to Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, and it's a
Wow.
4-year-old birthday party, and
Yep.
and
You saw the one with the
the
8-year-old
the
on the bus?
I
Didn't you
know
show
I
me
didn't
that?
see that.
You showed me that.
I don't think so, but the clothes
The
that
clothes, the
clothes
weave, the eyelashes.
everything,
I
all
can
of it.
keep
And it's
going. It's
like, at what
ridiculous.
point are you? I mean, I have to shop around to get my 10-year-old appropriate shorts because I refuse to put those kind of clothes on her. Right. And I teach her that there's appropriateness. There's certain things you wear, certain places. You don't go outside in a headscarf. Slippers are for the house. There's certain things that I just feel that are appropriate. And
Because
it's
your
one of
daughter's growing up in a household. The problem that I do see is a lot of these young people aren't even in households.
That's
And
true.
if they are in households, they're the head of those households, a
I know.
lot of them. And so we the issues is so many ancillary issues in our communities.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of parents, like even during the 80s, like you said, doing the crack addiction, this new addiction here, this meth and these pills, sis, they don't come home and check no work.
Oh, I know.
They are gone. And so we have a lot of young people who are particularly raising themselves and their siblings, or they're with grandmothers who can't control them. It's a lot going on out here.
And quite honestly, up until a certain age, I was just like that, kind of raising myself, latchkey kid, in and out, right? But
Right.
I will tell anybody, and this is the God honest truth, and that's why education is so important to me, and that's why I became a teacher. Reading saved me.
Wow.
Reading saved me because my mother made me get those books and read them. My mind, I was able to understand the fact that it was not like that everywhere, and that there were places that were better than where I was, and that I wanted to be a part of those kinds of
The
places.
power of
You know, the
imagination.
power of your imagination, to be able
Yes.
to read stories about people that were traveling and people that lived this kind of lifestyle, and how different people grew up in different areas and different
Absolutely.
things. And so being able to read, was very much so a reason why I feel like I made it. And to be
Mhm.
quite honest, even to this day, we're not a TV watching household. Every now and again at nighttime we might watch a show or something, but we read. We're readers.
Reading. Yep.
So I think that that's one of the biggest reasons why this lawsuit, or this, whatever you want to call it, is so important, because
Hmm.
our kids cannot read. And
Huh.
if they can't read, that
Hmm.
means that all they can believe is what they see. And I mean, even as a finance coach, you'd be surprised how many people I sit down with, and the contracts they are signed up with, and their investments and their insurances and different things that are in black and white
They don't
are
see.
totally different than what the person spoke out of their mouth. So it's so important to be able to read, because where the black and white is, that's what the real deal is, not what the people are talking about and what you see is what is on paper, right?
Yes.
And so reading is very fundamental, and it's
Yep.
important that our kids really get that.
Wow, that is important. So what I'm hearing is you guys want the the community, the parents, and to have say into the educational process. That
Absolutely.
that is important.
Mhm.
And you want some different outcomes, I'm hearing,
Yeah.
from our children and from what we're seeing. They need to read, they need and math, they need skills. They need to have just the basic skills so they can build upon, they can go to school or whatever they want to do with their lives. And how are we going to achieve this? Is this something you guys are doing alone? Are you going to have other teachers come in with you? other administrators? Are you able to get any help in this situation, or is it just you and Jovani, or Jovani and Shawnda?
Well, so on the lawsuit, it's just, my wife and I as the plaintiffs, but this is about changing the culture. So we held an event at Image Center on North Avenue a couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago now. So we want to keep doing, stuff like that, just getting in the community and building the awareness of what we can, of returning the power back to the people. I think that's, that's the big core of my messaging is, let's take the power back. And this is the opportunity, what better time than now? How long will we keep saying, well, that's the way it always been. That's just the way it's always going to be. And at what point are we going to say, I got to do something? And at what point are we going to say, the person that's going to do something about it is me? Mm-hmm. Right. So we have to just start having those, self-reflective conversations. Even if you don't know what to do, the fact that you say, I need to do something, you'll be amazed how many opportunities to do something start popping up.
And that segues into with some solutions. How can the community help you? How can Black Box help you? How can we help? Because we all, listen, educated children helps us to have an educated society, which helps all of us. It's not Black, it's not white, it's not orange, it's for all of us. Mm-hmm. When children are educated, we usually have a better outcomes in our society. We talk about crime, we talk about all of these things, but these are triggers from lack of thought, not being able to rationalize your own behavior, no self-control, food, lack of nutrition, trigger bad behavior. These are things that's going on in community. So what can come, because we as a community has to make, it can't be just Jovani and Shawnda. Mm-hmm. It's not going to work. They want you to be by yourselves because they know they can win. But when you get 50 or 60 of us and some of these ratchet moms who want to fight, real talk, we get some of that, and we get some of these young people who've been through the system who now are struggling. Absolutely struggling, trying to make it in this Baltimore. Rent is high as hell. Food is on fire. Mm-hmm. If you're not even a little educated and can make a little money, you're suffering. They're not giving out no new food stamps. You can't even go in the office to apply. Shoot. So, we need to find a way to help you guys in this process. And not only help ourselves, it helps all of us.
Well,
so I think we do that.
I think the first thing, at least, immediately is just keeping this at the front of the brain, right? Let's just keep this on the forefront. Okay. It just goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Let's just make education cool again. And the way you do that is just keep talking about it. Just keep talking about it. The repetition is the mother of learning, right? Right. And the way these rap songs and a lot of this cultural stuff gets, infiltrated into our minds is because it's repeated over and over and over and over and over again, right? If you listen to any hip hop song or any popular song right now, you notice the hooks are very, 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 very repetitive. That we have to create the hook of education, right? Education is it. Education is it. Education is it. So now you start building on the imagination. Like it's just planting the seeds. Right now we're so far, from seeing the way out that it seems like planting the seeds is far off. Like that's not going to get us there. But you'd be surprised just by planting the seeds. Each one reach one. Each one talk to another person. What that will do for the community, because now we've changed the culture. Now our culture has a higher expectation for education. And it'll go up 1 level, 2 levels, 3 levels. But it's just going to take time. The other thing is with this lawsuit is we have to be able to have measures to hold the school board accountable. And that's what the lawsuit is asking, because we need tangible, tangible ways to say, hey, my tax dollars, when I go to the store and buy food or whatever, the taxes that they charge on that, all of that goes into, the education. When you make money and you pay your income taxes and you pay your state taxes, you pay your taxes, all that goes to the educate. Not all of the money, but part of that money goes to this education system. So everyone has a stake in this. Everyone is a stakeholder, right? And we have to, remember that, right? Mm-hmm. And as soon as we do that, take ownership of that, I think things will change. But it has to be right here. It has to be right here.
You're right. It has to be the front of the brain. And as you're into tech, and And I'm being devil's advocate. Technology is going to circumvent schooling. It's actually circumventing, as we can see, education also, to the point where, you look at the governor just took off requirements for state jobs, no college degree. This is happening. This is what technology will do. And I've said it before, technology is going to make college a dinosaur. And when I say that, it's not because education isn't important. It's what technology is bringing to the table. And it's more, you can learn it without actually getting a degree. Mm-hmm. You can be taught it, and it's a repetitive movement. You learn it and you continue to apply it. Technology is a new game. So yes, education has to be in the forefront, but we have to now like it, because it's not going to be too many schools to go to. Ain't nobody paying $40,000 when they can shake it on TikTok, or they might can develop an app that everybody's playing with. They're not going to Harvard for 40 G's. You get all of that's going away. They can think that it's going to stay. It's not. Technology will circumvent these type of top heavy education that we're seeking. So within that, education has to be something we want. Like my parents, we knew we couldn't be in that damn house without being educated. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be in here without going to school. It's no, you sick, go to school first, let them send you home. You're not
you back home.
Yeah, we couldn't stay. You couldn't feel that. The things these kids are playing. And let me tell you something. Video game, that's a joke. You're not playing near nothing. You ain't coming out your room if them grades ain't right. So, I don't know how to change this thing, guys, but
it's one thing at a time. Plan to see. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, to add to your point though, technology, just like you said, is also beginning to take over a lot of the low-paying industries.
Absolutely.
So, when you think about the fact that in addition to education, kind of, or higher education becoming a dinosaur,
absolutely,
you're also looking at the fact that people who aren't really educated, the jobs that they could take on,
the jobs
now are going to be replaced by technology.
Yep.
I mean, when you think about even now, places like McDonald's, they have kiosks for you to ring up yourself, right? Cashiers at the grocery store,
Royal Farms,
right?
Yes.
Royal Farms, right? Anywhere the toll plaza is automated, right? You think about restaurants, they have robots that deliver medicines and things in hospitals. You have, robots that deliver food at restaurants. So a lot of the jobs that people who may not have been as educated could take on are now being replaced by technology. So that's also going to pose a problem if people are not educated. Because, if before I could kind of survive, I could work this job or work that job, but now those jobs are being replaced and taken away. So, the need for not just, basic education like reading, writing, and math, but the need for just understanding that there's a great need for self-education
it is
as well, that, it's necessary.
It's very necessary. That's what I was trying to stress, is like, because a lot of everything that we used to do is going to be what we used to do. Technology is that thing. It's a disruptor. And when you get a disruptor in society, it changes everything. As we see, every day is something new for us. We're learning new things because technology is pushing it. And COVID said, we can throw it on you and you ain't never going back. Exactly. And so this is where we are. And so if we're not educating with the basic read, how you going to code? You can't read.
That's another language.
How you know what I'm saying? How we gonna teach you? We can't teach you a less than sign because you don't even know what that is. So just the basic stuff, we have to be able to teach that and teach it in a way where young people now want to self-educate themselves. I want to learn robotics. I want to learn coding. I want to learn cybersecurity. We got to inspire the imagination of our young people more than just particularly they go to a school. Because I went to a school and you go into these industries and they come for you because you're Black and different. So we got to look at all of these things that we're telling our young people, because the world is changing. And so Baltimore City got to do better, because we got these young people walking around here getting high and doing nothing. And I'm sick of it.
That's the truth.
I'm sick of it. I don't know and we have to start programming for our young people. You know, we're the first generation that's able to hire our own children. We're able to set up jobs for our own children, for our own families. We got to now set up spaces for our young people. And because there's a lot of parents aren't there, we have to set up these spaces. And I'm imagining that, but we have to set up programming and spaces for young people, because the school system is set to do nothing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's a do nothing system. I love what you guys are doing. What can we do to help? What you need? I got no money. That's all Black people say.
Now just keep blasting it, keep talking about it. Just change the
Okay.
culture. That's like, again, the big thing is change the culture.
Are y'all self paying for this? I mean, you got to get some help. Now, come on.
Yeah,
You have no way where people can give you money.
We haven't set it up yet. That is in process. I just
Okay.
haven't set all that stuff up yet.
So when you set that up, come back and let's talk about it again.
But one thing I am, trying to organize. I do want to get fathers together, and start doing school walks, because my vision for this is where fathers would pick a school, any school, and if anybody out there wants to do this, just let me know. The fathers would walk, have their kids at school, stand outside, welcome all the kids in, to the schools, give them high fives, say have a great day. And then the first 30 to 45 minutes of the school day, just walk the halls, just essentially being hall monitors, just seeing what's going on, just being there.
Is that allowable?
We're gonna make it allowable.
I mean, I want to know if that's allowable, because I had male teachers on.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you what they told me that stuck with me, Shawnda. I see your head shaking. It stuck with me, Shawnda. They said that as Black male teachers, they are always the police in the school. They're always put there to be the person who put the water on all the fires. They can barely teach because they're being pulled out of their class for all of the things that's going on in school that might be negative. So they really can't even do what they want to do with their children, because they're always having to police the school.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm wondering if our Black men get in there, and now are they going to be the police? And do you get what I'm saying?
Well,
the school is so ill-equipped for what we need for it to do. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think just having fathers being there. There is some element of policing. I don't think I would call it that. But there is some level of just saying, like, you know how you are when you see a bunch of dads hanging around, you're not acting the same way, even if it's not your father, right? You're just not going to act the same way. So this recently happened. It was a organization called Dads on Duty down in Louisiana. There was a school that for 3 days straight, there were fights breaking out, just a bunch of chaos in the school. And what these dads did is just say, hey, we're just going to go walk the schools. Fatherhood principle number one is literally just being there. So they started doing that, and everything is it's all cool. Everything is good now. You should hear the testimonials from the students, from the teachers, and from the dads. And it's an amazing thing that happens, particularly when fathers just get back involved.
That's beautiful. And I don't want to be a pessimist. I just remember them saying that, and when I hear, I don't want Black men to be, to have to always police and be the person who, strike all the fires. I want Black men to be great and teach and lead. And so you're right. That's probably a great thing, and we need to have different aspects of this thing, not just the case.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there any other things you guys are doing with the case also?
I mean, not necessarily. We're doing talks and, different rallies, so to speak. I think one of the things that I would like to be able to do eventually is to kind of find a safe space for teachers to be able to express some of their concerns, and, maybe in such a way that they are not
Sean, I think it's Facebook. Have you seen the teachers on Facebook? The stuff they say
Oh
about
my
school.
God, they definitely say some stuff.
That is a safe
Like,
space.
yeah, but unfortunately, the thing about that is, right now, Baltimore City has way too many other problems on their hands, but they
Yeah.
do have a right to monitor your Facebook
Yeah, I
page,
know they do.
part of your agreement,
A
right?
lot of people gonna get fired.
Yeah, I know, right? So a lot of people got a lot of things to say, but
Yeah.
maybe just creating some sort of Facebook group for teachers to be able
Mhm.
to share some of their experiences and their thoughts and what they would feel is best. Because one of the reasons why I served as union rep for so many years was because I was unbothered and unafraid. I felt like I had value as a not only as a teacher but as a person, and that I brought value. So it I was not afraid that I was going to lose my job. I just felt like, oh, well, I go somewhere else. It wasn't like one of those things where I felt like this was it for me.
Mhm.
If you fire me, what am I going to do? It was more like, well, I know what I got. So, no, that's not happening over here.
Mhm.
No, we ain't doing that over here. Right. And so, unfortunately, even when teachers know their rights, they don't want to enforce them because they're afraid of being called the squeaky wheel, or other names, or getting
Yeah.
bad evaluations, or even because we're very bureaucratic, having the conversations between principals. Oh no, don't hire her, because she ain't gonna do nothing but get you some trouble. And then
Absolutely.
this teacher can't go to another school, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So just kind of giving teachers a space to be able to voice some of their opinions, so that when we are able to bring things to the light, we can say, no, we got this from this teacher that's saying, and this from this teacher, and maybe it's anonymous, but at least we'll have some testimonials from teachers all across the board that are saying this ain't working. This is not working. Not for the teachers and not for the students. It's not working.
I wish some teachers in Baltimore City would do that, but I understand, their job is on the line. I get it. But I really wish the only way to change things, sometimes it has to be a revolution, and some people can't stay working.
Yeah.
They gotta walk away. And I don't know how to change this thing, but it has to be from the inside too. Because from the outside is a lot. You're gonna have a lot of things to go up against. I'm sure they come and they got enough money to get the best lawyers, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
You need some inside money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And so I hope you guys are able to get that. I want to support. I don't know what I can do. I'm not a teacher, I'm not an educator. But I really want to see Black children win. And not that I want to see all children win, let's be clear. I was a Black child, and I know we have extraordinary circumstances in America, and I want to see them win, especially in Baltimore City, where we have at least 60%, it's 60 plus, but 60% Black people, and everything that's horrible in the country started in Baltimore. And now we got a school system that is waging war on the people. So we always got a story in Baltimore, redlining, something they're doing to the people here. The highway to nowhere is always something in Baltimore. Subprime loans. I'm telling you, but flipping houses. Baltimore has been the bane of every social ill that I've seen in one city.
I believe it's going to be the shining star one day.
It's shining now, bro. We here.
Well,
It's shining. We just gotta get all of it. You know how the star got all them points.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a few shining. We gotta get we gotta get all the points.
We're gonna get the rest of them shining.
Yeah, we gotta get the rest of the points shining. So listen, I do want to say to you guys is I have a ultimate respect for people who are part of the solution. And sometimes the solution isn't comfortable. It isn't a place that you could do it with that in silence. You guys sometimes shake the boat. So I really applaud you too for taking this path and actually doing something and saying something and just wanting something different for our community. So you got my support. Whatever I can do, please call on me. I am like impressed. We needed this 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Well, we got a pop-up shop coming up, so
I come through.
Yeah.
Tell me. You got to tell me so I can pop up.
May the 7th. It's a Sunday.
May the 7th.
Oh, No, it's a Saturday.
What's May 7th?
It's a Saturday.
Oh, May, whatever that Saturday is. First Saturday in May.
Yeah.
What you doing the first Saturday in May?
The pop-up shop.
Okay, what's the pop-up? Bro, what is the pop?
We're gonna send you the flyer and stuff.
I want the people. Can the people help you with that?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I want you to
They
tell
can
the
come
people.
on out. Yeah, so we are doing a pop-up shop on May the 7th, where we're gonna have a lot of small businesses and vendors there. Always just looking to promote. We truly believe that Baltimore has some great small businesses and entrepreneurs, and so creative too. We got some creative people, and so
Yes.
always looking to support small businesses. So we're doing a pop-up shop in Pikesville. It's called First Saturdays. It's the first Saturday of every month from May until October. It's going to be held at the Love Cathedral, which is a church, but it's going to be in the parking lot, and it's in Pikesville, 18 Stone Chapel Lane. I'll make sure to get you over the flyer and the details for anyone that wants to just come out. We'll both be there. So if you want to kind of meet us in the flesh, that's fine as well. And just be able to network and have some fun and talk and engage and bring the family. It's a kid friendly event. And an opportunity to support some of the local businesses in the community. And
This is in Pikesville. Is that Baltimore proper, sis?
County.
It's
the
the
county,
county.
right? I knew y'all was county folk looking pretty over there. I
No,
knew.
no. We
city.
live in the city.
We
We
live in
live
the
in
city.
Walbrook Junction.
Look at y'all. Y'all came for me. Don't get it right.
We live in Walbrook Junction.
Oh,
Okay. We
ooh,
should
that's straight city. Okay.
Yeah, we live up the Junction way. So yeah, no, but I mean, so we just partner with different networks, and one of them happens to be in Pikesville. We did used to do it last year. We actually did it in the city. We had a property that we did it at last year. So this year, we found a space in Pikesville, but we
So
found
this is your event that you have.
this is our event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, this is amazing. We have Monica Cooper. She said if you're having it in Baltimore, she's willing to participate. So listen, we got to talk about that. We can bring that to the city.
Okay, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, we can bring that to
Absolutely.
the
So,
city.
anybody else that wants to partner, vendor, reach out. You can find me on Facebook. You can find him on
Yeah,
Facebook.
give us some information to you, rebellious Africans. Give us some information to you folks, so people can get in touch with you. Your Facebook, your number, and also to give you some, some coins towards this case. So please give out your information, or however people can get in touch with you.
So the best contact for me is Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, Facebook, Jovani Patterson. Either you can do my profile or my page. They're both Jovani Patterson.
Okay, I'm gonna write your name on here, Jay,
I,
so
re-
you have it right.
I usually respond within the day.
Okay.
Instagram, Mr. JP is great. MRJPISGREAT. But I usually post my like music videos and food and stuff on there. But it's a way to get in contact with me.
So social media is a way to get in touch with you guys. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you on social media too, Shawnda?
I am not as
I look for you.
All right, hold on.
Don't even try it.
Finance Fridays, finance_Fridays with a Z.
I'm on Instagram.
What's that?
But that is my business page. So I do helpful tips regarding finances. As I said, I'm a licensed finance and investment coach. I'm not as prevalent on social media, but I do. You can reach me on there. My Facebook is Shawnda. I changed it to Patterson, but somehow it still says my maiden name. So it's Shawnda Jefferson on Facebook. On Instagram,
I can't find you.
Shawnda Patterson on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free to message, reach out. We're also on LinkedIn. Both of us are on LinkedIn. If you want to check us out there.
Okay. Because we definitely want to have this conversation again when you get your donations together and closer to. Have you been to court yet? Any of that? Have you any court yet with this war in the city, or are you still waiting?
So the no court yet. The schools did, respond, but right now we're just kind of waiting for our response to that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So this is like the what do they call this, discovery, or I don't really
Well, we
know.
haven't gotten to discovery yet.
Oh, you
So
haven't even got there yet. Okay.
no. So the schools were, we anticipated they'd file a motion to dismiss because they just probably want to dismiss the case.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually what they've done. So right now, the lawyers, and I'm not lawyers, but the judges are kind of looking at that. And
Got it. Okay. So that's the status of what's going on now. Okay, so we will get an update. Again, I applaud you guys for this step. And we have to come together and see what we could do on a community level for our young people. Because the system is large and it's been rolling like this for a long time. So we got to circumvent it in maybe have some small, great things going on for our young people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, in the same event, you keep us posted. If there's ever anything you want us to do, if there's, things with your sponsorship that you were talking about before with the kids, or any community events, we're doing it for our kids, for our community. And that's what it's all about. Even as a finance coach, that is one of my main goals, is to empower our community with a lot of the financial concepts that I feel like we just weren't privy to. If there's ever anything that we can do, reach out to us, let us know. We'll show up for engagements, help the kids, volunteer events, feed the homeless, whatever it is. If it can be done in our schedule, we'll definitely do it. So keep us posted too.
That's good. We got to be a community like that. I love that. We got to come together and use our gifts together. It's a blessing. So it's a pleasure to meet you guys. Just a pleasure. And
thank you.
Yeah, you sound like you really, really love Baltimore and love the education. And you sound like the nerd you are, Jovani. You do.
I'm a nerd.
I hope I don't.
Oh no, Shawnda, you're good. You sound financial. Yeah, you sound. I wouldn't think you were from Baltimore neither. You have I don't hear no accents. I didn't hear two.
That's a lie.
Or you. I heard none of that yet.
Let her talk to her friends or family.
It comes out that.
Well, that's the higher education. We know how. That's what I used to tell the kids in school. Okay, it's a time and place for everything. You can talk to your friends like that. You don't talk to your teacher like that.
Yeah, I'm saying.
We work it out. We know how to compartmentalize. So we got that thing down, right? We got it down, sis.
I like that. You cool, Shawnda. I love that. Good job, Jovani. So listen, nice meeting you guys. We're going to stay posted on what you guys are doing. Please send me the flyer for May 7th. And we definitely want to participate in that and check that out. What time is it? I actually work on Saturday. What time is it?
So it's from 11 to 4.
Okay, maybe I can come through. Sure. So listen, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming through. We really appreciate you guys in the bbR spotlight. Today is the 13th, right? 13th, 4/13, 2022. We've had Jovani and Shawnda Patterson talking about the complaint filed against the Baltimore. It's not Baltimore school system, right? It was complaint. It was filed against the board, or it's actually the system. Oh, okay. Excuse me. I see your face, Shawnda. Filed against the Baltimore school system.
And who else is it? They control
the problem.
Yep.
And so we really appreciate this conversation, and we will expound on it as you guys go farther.
Well, thank you so much. It was nice talking to you. So talk to you soon.
We boxed up and out. Can I get some deuces? That's it. We are gone. Good night, guys.
Good night.